they are looking pretty scary.
Order now at macros.com.au.
Welcome to GTV ANZ, the gaming channel created by Ubisoft. Every Tuesday and Friday on YouTube, we'll be doing fast plays, game challenges, 1v1 face-offs, and so much more. You happy?
When did we get a dog?
It's a good question.
I'm running out of time. I'm running on a feeling song. I'm running out of time.
And now, it's all on the same. The player heroic. Welcome back to Oceanic Nationals presented by Samsung. We're here for a bit of an interesting night, I've got to say. I don't know what the viewers are in for. I'm a little bit worried for them, as you can see. It's Xenox in the middle, which generally means he's going to be the colour caster, and our wonderful Vast on the very end. Vast, I'll come to you first because we hear Xenox's voice all too often here, mate. How are things going, and what do you think of last night's performances, the first day of Stage 3?
Yeah, I mean, last night's games were pretty exciting. There was nothing too crazy. Every match pretty much went as we all predicted. But with that being said, there were some really good games. The Overt Knights match, the Ruffle Order, even the Rhythm and Bliss had some really good moments. And yeah, I'm really excited for tonight. I think they're going to be even better games. And yeah, I think we're going to see a lot of really good Siege tonight.
Hey Xenox, guess what? It's graphic time. Take it away.
It is. Yeah, it's my favourite part of the segment when the graphics show up and I get to pick my nose. Look, honestly, yesterday was not too bad. We had some pretty decent games where I didn't think we would actually have some. Overt ended up challenging Knights. They put in a really good performance, maybe even deserved a point out of it. That went to 7-5. Even Bliss versus Rhythm, that game going 7-5 as well. The big one, though, of course, and you can see it here on the standings graphic, Rafflecopter, a 7-2 victory over Order. That was by far and away the highlight of Playday 1.
Yep, certainly was. Let's have a look at what we've got in store for Playday 2. Of course, the Saturday night, and of course, well, I'd love to say Saturday for the boys, but Saturday is for everyone, and certainly so. We're kicking off with an unbelievable matchup, Order and Wildcard, and we head into the, I would say, the highly anticipated matchup here, Vast. Chiefs taking on Knights. What are we expecting?
Yeah, I mean, this is the big game, battle of the OCN Titans. I think we're going to expect a real back and forth, round by round game. A lot of aggressive plays and a lot of adaptions. It's really going to be a tight contest between these two teams, and yeah, I'm really excited.
Xenox rounding out Overt, Rhythm, and Rafflecopter and Bliss. What's the potential here?
Well, Avert and Rhythm suddenly becomes a very, very fun game to watch, I think, coming up. When we look at Playday 1, Rhythm really took it to Bliss, Avert really took it to Knight. So I'm kind of expecting those two to be sort of around the same level. It does mean a lot, really, for both teams. Rhythm, they probably need to win this game if they're any chance of finishing far enough above Wildcard to avoid the relegation. So it's a must-win game for Rhythm. And for Avert, it's a must-win game because it's, to be completely honest, their best opportunity to actually win a game in OCN. I actually think they'll win it maybe a couple games, maybe 2 or 3 when it's all said and done. Hard to really say. It's such a congested stage, but nonetheless, that's a big one. And Rufflecopter Bliss suddenly also becomes massive off the back of what we saw yesterday. Rufflecopter dismantling Order, made them look second rate. They've got some absolutely amazing new talent in that lineup. Kaken, along with Wettables. Suddenly, there's now questions, what can Rufflecopter really achieve this stage? Bliss also looked a little vulnerable yesterday, losing out, well, not losing out to Rhythm, but almost losing out to Rhythm, right? The king of best of ones as we sort of perceive them. So I think we've got, honestly, maybe the best Playday of the stage here for Playday 2.
That is a huge call, so we'll have a look at the predictions and see what you think of this Xenox, because I'm sure it's going to be spicy nonetheless. But we will go to Vars first here, because, you know, Vars and I, we're on the same wavelength, mate. We just understand the game. Oh, and Medi as well. Repel has gone for the exact same predictions here. Vars, do you want to try to maybe, you know, stake a claim to these predictions?
Yep. I mean, I think the only real difference where we all kind of differ is the wildcard and order match. Seems kind of quite even. I went for wildcard, not really based off of form. I don't know. I just had a feeling, and I just think that I'm hoping that they, you know, have improved and kind of fixed a lot of mistakes that have been happening over the past few play days. And I'm kind of with this match, I'm kind of just more putting faith.
Xenox?
Yeah, the top one does surprise me a little bit, considering we also put in these predictions prior to yesterday. It really even surprises me more so, especially off the back of the way that Order was able to perform in APAC South. Wildcard, of course, still struggling. To see that many predicting Wildcard is a little surprising, but honestly, now off what we saw yesterday and Order's lost to Bliss, it could happen. In saying that, though, of course, for Order, they're a team that's always quite inconsistent, so they lose yesterday, they'll probably win today. The rest of them, the rest of the predictions looking pretty good. I did see a Knights in there, I think, from Sky. For Knights to win tonight, they're going to have to break a bit of a curse because they have really struggled against Chiefs in the recent history. And the other one, of course, I saw one Rhythm. That's not too surprising, but a lot of love for the new boys in Avert.
I think that was Dev, right, who went for Rhythm, so
yeah.
Kind of explains the lack of IQ there. He's either going to end up on top at the end of the night or at the very rock bottom. But Vast, I do want to get your thoughts here on this Knights and Chiefs prediction, because it was all boys in blue. There was, I think, 6 or 7 of us predicting for the Chiefs. So do you think that's and valid?
Girls?
And girls, sorry. Well, it's just the boys, you know? Yeah?
I don't think it really gives much justice to Knights because they're such a good team, but I just think historically Chiefs have proven that they're just really comfortable playing against Knights, and I wouldn't see why there'd be anything different in this matchup.
Interesting. All right, well, let's have a look at the first matchup, because that's probably where the attention needs to be here, Xenox. It's Order taking on Wildcard, and for most, this is probably the hardest match to predict.
Well, again, you say that, but I actually thought this was going to be one of the easier ones to predict. Order's a team that I look at coming into this matchup that I actually think should be pretty much comfortably favored. In recent history, they've had the number of wildcard as well, 3-1 Order. But honestly, this is a team that when we looked at their APAC South performance a couple of days ago, we thought, hey, with Derpay in now as the coach, this is a team that can maybe gain a little bit more of that consistency rather than inconsistency. And then they get absolutely belted yesterday by Rufflecopter, 7-2. Didn't even look remotely close to winning that one, which is very disappointing for a team like Order looking to try and get over that hurdle. You know, we can sit here all day and say these guys are inconsistent, because we can actually keep saying that. I don't want to say it, Manik. I don't want to say it. I love these guys. I think they're super talented. I think they could even have a limit as almost best team in the region. That's probably like sky's the limit for these guys. They just can't quite get there. You need to be winning games like this. And off the back of what happened yesterday, you definitely need to be winning this one.
Is he doing push-ups? Specker, oh God, what are these? What is this cursed bunch of cams? We've got Specker doing push-ups in the top right, Bailey down the bottom left, looking like a stone cold killer. Vast, is this team full of stone cold killers? What's the go?
Yeah, I don't really know. I mean, they claim that they are, stone cold killers and an aggressive team, but obviously last night it showed that they still have that inconsistency about them, and yeah, I just think they need to prove themselves a bit more to show that they are the team that they, think they are.
Yeah, for sure.
Ooh.
Well,
No, I'm just saying, that was some fighting words. Think they are? Jeez. I like it, Bust.
yeah, well, Vast is on the desk now, so he can say whatever he wants and get away with it.
Yep,
Jack Daddy, Cool Daddy, that's who it is. But Wildcard is who they're coming up against. God, if we're talking about inconsistency, is this, Xenox, is this just battle of the inconsistencies tonight?
To a degree, but I mean, I guess Wildcard's also been quite consistently bad over the last few months, so how inconsistent really can they be? They've had some decent results. I guess in July, they knocked off Q-Confirm, they knocked off Knights. We kind of thought maybe there was a bit of a renaissance about them, but since then, they lost the Ruffle, lost the Knights, lost the Chiefs. Obviously, haven't really been able to even be remotely close either in those losses, 7-2, 7-1, 7-3. So they have just been taken apart. We actually sort of theorized yesterday on the desk that going against the Chiefs, taking them to bank, they won that map veto. That was where that maybe they could have a bit of a solace in getting a win. And really after the first couple of rounds, it was as one-sided as I've seen it for a while. This is the team still trying to find themselves and find a footing. They need to do it very quickly though, because, and we've spoken about it all stage long, stage 2, stage 1, now stage 3. This is a team that could find themselves in relegations, right? And the way that it has been predicted tonight, maybe a bit of 50-50, maybe they can get over it. Well, they're going to need to, because otherwise I'm kind of sensing Rhythm might actually end up being able to pull off the fairy tale if these guys can't find themselves.
I mean, Vast, we look at this roster and it's just full of absolute fraggers, right? Like, some incredible names, and they've shown individually that they can perform. What is it that's just holding Wildcard back at the moment? Do you know?
I can't really say for sure. Obviously, only they would really know kind of what's going wrong. I theorize that it's probably their roles, in my opinion. I mean, they have 5 really good players. It could be a matter of maybe the way they've got things set up, maybe the way they IGL, maybe, I don't know. It could be, small things like that we don't really get to see on camera.
Yeah.
But for me, I think a big issue was the roles. I would have liked to see Geo on a vert role. I think he's a really good vert player, and he's been playing that at the start of stage 3 so far, and he's looked a lot better.
Yeah.
So who knows? But I think, for me, it was roles.
Okay, interesting. Well, let's get through to the map vetoes, Xenox. I'll let you go first. I'm sure you've got DevMarter's stat tracker up there. We head to Chalet. What are your thoughts?
I like it. Love it. Neither of these two teams have played it since it's come into the pool, which is a fun little fact. So, and it's actually something we kind of spoke about a little bit yesterday with a couple of teams, in fact, about expanding map pools, for instance. This is probably a good thing for both of these two teams. A lot of the times, both of these two teams have actually had a lot of a history of maps like Clubhouse, for instance, or Oregon, or even Villa, actually. Both of these two teams like a little bit of Villa, but Chalet has been a no-go. So unless Dev's match tracker has missed out somewhere, neither of these two teams have played it at all.
Vast, Chalet, unfamiliar territory for both of these teams. What are we thinking?
Yeah, to be honest, I didn't expect a Chalet. I thought that, I mean, both teams banned it yesterday, and I thought maybe they weren't ready to play it yet. I thought it was going to be a Calf or Villa, but I think Chalet is kind of even grounds for these teams. Typically, it's not a map that they've both liked to play, but maybe it's been a map that they've both been working on during the off-season.
You'd hope so. You'd really hope so at this point. Xenox, as we look to this one, I guess you're on Order's side at the moment, aren't you? You've kind of
Yeah,
went
mate.
a little bit further into them. So I'll give you the floor here to back the boys. What are they going to do to get this across the line?
Well, they don't have to do anything. It's another fun fact with Xenox. Everyone loves them. Here's the little fun fact, and as to why Order's going to win. We all know about their inconsistency problems. Well,
Yep.
how about this? In the last 8 games, they won, then they lost, then they won, then they lost. Then they won, then they lost. Then they won, then they lost yesterday. Well, guess what? You can see where the pattern's going here, man. They're going to win tonight because of that. Look,
Vast.
hey, they are the team that is always inconsistent. They lost yesterday. They looked horrible.
Yeah.
They will look like world beaters today.
World beaters, hey, that's a big claim. I don't think we can really give that the title to Wildcard either. But Vast, final thoughts before we head into this map.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't really know what's going to happen in this game, to be honest. It's going to be interesting, but I think that
That's why we got you on here, mate.
I think both of these teams are in a pretty similar situation in terms of like they're facing kind of a plateau, and they both are looking to break through that plateau. And I think, despite whoever wins this match, I don't think that it answers a lot of questions just yet. I think both of these teams really need to show a lot of consistent performances. We can't see the win one, lose one, win one, lose one. That's not what is going to put them into that top 3. They really need consistent performance week in, week out. So I'm hoping that maybe this game could be a turnaround for one of these teams.
Let's hope so, because it really the road has to start here. The stage-long campaign, Xenox, this is where it begins, surely. Surely this is where Order and Wildcard, one of them have to take off.
Yeah, I guess generally one has to win, one has to lose. That's generally how it goes,
shut
Rob.
up. God damn it. We're not even 5 minutes into the show and you're already ticking me off. But it's time for the first matchup of Playday 2. See you later, Vast. And thank you for joining us once again. We'll speak to you right after this one. But Xenox, this really does start a long campaign for either Order or Wildcard. Both teams riddled with inconsistencies, or consistently bad, as you put it.
Yeah, and I think for Wildcard it could be really bad if they lose this tonight, because you know what? They play Knights next week in Playday 3, and that, let's be real, they'll be 0-3 at that point. And then from there, how do you expect them to really make playoffs, right, with the final 4 Playdays? It could happen, but boy, it's not a hold you really want to find yourselves in. And for Order as well. I mean, imagine starting the stage 0-2, losing to Rufflecopter and Wildcard. No disrespect to either of those two teams, Rob, but it's not like losing to, say, Knights or Chiefs.
That's okay. You know what? You've already started out here with a bang. Now, I'm going to give you the floor, my friend.
Oh, here we go.
Generally, this is where you shut up and Guz takes over, but it's time, baby. Let's get into it, shall we? What are we seeing from these bands?
Well, the Flores is probably the only interesting one there. The Thatcher makes a lot of sense, but the Flores, as you can see, actually with the attackers ban rate down the bottom, 13%, one of the lesser ones there. But I guess you can open up some sight lines. You can also clear out some of the sites as well, get rid of that utility. Mirror makes a lot of sense too, pretty much on any map. And then the Kaid, I guess 25% chance, Rob. The stats don't lie. Surely will be the final ban.
Valk. It's Valk, 100%. God damn it, we're both wrong. Well,
Wow.
that starts us off on a great note.
Hey, it's not our fault. The stats apparently lied.
Oh, God, this is not the way we wanted to start tonight, Xenox, that's for sure. But we are getting into it. Round number 1, taking aways with Order on the defense. Look, Xenox, we've got to talk about Order, don't we? Because they have been quite defensive in the past 2 playdays that we've seen them.
Yeah, but just quickly with the Wamai, you know, what that can potentially do as well. Puts a lot more emphasis on the Jaeger, as we know. Certain sites, like if you're playing bar games and you're looking at that library stairs hold with the mezzanine, suddenly you don't have those Wamai discs there either, so you've only got really the ADSs. That does, I guess, open that up a little bit, especially with, you know, Flores off the board. So it's kind of like a tit for tat kind of thing, I guess. But Order defense, look, what about Chalet defense? This has been the interesting thing as well. We always thought that when Chalet came back into the map pool, it was going to be attacker-sided, but in the end, it's actually been pretty 50-50, even at times favoring the defenders.
Yeah. I guess we'll see if the stats lie once again for us. Xenox after the ban phase. Please don't throw us under the bus. But one thing I do just want to note, obviously, the HP Omen. There we go. The community vote. That is Well, that's actually as sharp as what it was for us on the desk as well. We're kind of split. It is 50-50 this matchup.
Yeah, and again, I'm going to keep repeating it. I'm a little bit surprised, but I guess orders, inconsistency issues are a reason as to why it is this close. It does probably say a little bit more about Order than Wildcard, to be honest. We all know Wildcard's issues and where they've been at the last few months, but for Order, where they probably wanted to be here for Stage 3 is a team that should be overwhelming favorites.
Yeah. Now, one thing that, I know you mentioned this last night because you stole my damn point, but we're seeing so much Nook, so much Tachanka just being played throughout these playdays with these OCE teams. And honestly, I'm not going to speculate. I'm not even going to try to figure out why, because obviously there are plenty of reasons why individuals would be taking this, or teams in general, but it's just something that we have not seen in the past, and I love it. I'll be honest with you, Xenox. I absolutely love it.
Yeah, I was actually going to do a quick little Control F, see if I can actually find what Guz said. He says, Nook free lurk and Chanka buffs IG. So, there you go. There's the hardcore analysis from Guz coming in here for a little bit of help there. But look, yeah, I did mention it yesterday. We have seen a bit more Nook, and it makes a lot of sense on maps like Chalet, where it's a little bit more free-flowing. And you are going to obviously want to try and rely on a little bit of that movement, which is exactly what Wildcard is going to do. They'll play into it with the Lion as well, with Emerin, and see how they can do. But generally speaking, so like Bar Games, we are just going to see this top library stairs hold, Mezzanine with that shield. Makes a lot of sense. It means Order, though, probably aren't going to be moving around too much. Wildcard should get into position pretty quickly here.
Oh, Bailey surely is the ADS there to support. No, it's not. There we go. Vinny opening up the bank account here for Wildcard. And Bailey, no more. Geo adding to the issues so far. And there we go. Free lurk, Guz. Spot on.
Wildcard with the two-man advantage as well from here should be more than capable of really closing out this opening round. Geo down below, very low health, but what an angled shot! Molluska just says, good night, Specker. This is a great start for Wildcard. It's only one round, but you can build a lot of momentum when you're playing well.
No, you can. Just one foot in front of the other, and before you know it, Xenox, you're out the front of the dub. That might be what Wildcard really need, let's be honest. But Nico, surely not. Okay, Vinny putting the nail in the coffin there. All they're waiting for is the hammer to drop in this round. But Nico, he still remains an ever-large presence up here in Library. Surely Wildcard just play this to perfection.
I don't even know how Guz and Dev actually do analysis when half the time they're filling in this spreadsheet. It is honestly very difficult. I can't sit back here and tell you exactly the reasons why Wildcard won, other than they hit their shots, Manic.
Yeah,
they won their ones. The thing that's interesting, though, is more so the time. Wildcard very efficient with their time this round. Imran's going to obviously get this diffuser. Nico unable to find him. In a 1 versus 2, though, technically winnable, and he does seem like he senses the positioning of Emerin here. He's just trying to find like a pixel above, I guess, but this should still be a winnable scenario if Nico can hit the shot, and he does! He's got 3 for the round. Geo's very low as well.
This is not good at all. Wildcard, I believe it was a 4v1, something close to that. Nico hunting for Geo, but with only a lick of HP, he's only got to hit him with the sidearm. Geo, how do you play this one to perfection? Claws that back for Wildcard. Nico nearly clutches up massively in the first round on Chalet here, and that is certainly setting a tone for the rest of this match.
Yeah, really good, I guess, discipline there from Geo as well. Didn't just rush onto site immediately after losing Emerin. It can probably be easy in that scenario to be like, oh, it's a 1 versus 1. I've got to try and make something happen, but he held his nerve. We can actually see through the replays. They are wonderful, wonderful replays. A lot of it really did end up just coming down to sort of these ones at the end of the day, Rob, right?
Yeah.
A lot of these sort of 1v1 environments were created, which is a little strange because typically Bar Games, a lot of the emphasis is that top of library stairs, that mezzanine chimney area, trying to clear out those sort of positions, eventually then get control of library, drop down, and then maybe even a big window push as well. But no, it was actually around the map we were seeing these sort of fights break out. We do move away from Bar Games now and head over to office and bedroom.
Yeah, I guess that's the kind of beauty of those opening picks for Wildcard. It opens the round up a lot more for them to be able to take fights, and unfortunately, like you're saying, ones are, it's such a dangerous game, right? You never really want to give, especially someone like Nico, one-on-ones. He essentially had every single fight then isolated without necessarily like the buddy system from Wildcard. So we'll wait and see whether that will kind of come back to haunt them in the end. But for now, I do like Order's decision just to keep moving. It's something that we talk about a lot when we cast, is like, you know, the kind of the duality of on one hand sitting there and staying on the same site, or moving on and progressing. And generally when we see a team stick, you know, there is something that they've clearly spotted could have fixed that. And to be fair, I mean, I'm no big brain color caster, but maybe Order could have played that better in the earlier rounds without having too much of a nuisance.
Yeah, it's always easy to sit back and say, well, you could have played safer, but then you don't have the reward from that risk that could be at play. The interesting thing to note here, Wildcard, of course, they've got the same lineup. This does put a lot of emphasis on Pat, especially for what is essentially this Master Office site. There's going to be a lot of walls you're going to want to eventually try and open up, whether that be through Solarium or the office wall from the mezzanine. So if Pat goes down early, this is going to then be a disaster for Wildcard. So heavy emphasis on him staying alive here.
See there, I believe that's Molosca who's kind of cutting that rotate off all the way to Solarium. No, it's Emo in. There you go. Smack bang on there, Mandy. As per usual, that's allowed Geo to actually push directly in and take the stairs control. Kind of cuts Order off somewhat, but Milo taking a bit of contact, and it's somehow him coming out on top. I actually can't remember what I even just saw there. Blink and you miss it kind of thing, Xenox.
Yeah, it happens in Siege sometimes, I guess.
Once or twice.
Minute and a half, though. Wildcard again, though. 2 rounds in a row now. They've got this advantage. Specker rotates over to library stairs. Emerin watching from front yard patio. And he's got a good angle, but he's not going to find any kills onto Bailey if he continues to loiter around there. And that's one thing that's going to work out here for Order. On the clash, Bailey can buy a lot of time here defensively for Order.
Xenox, did you just look at the compass to say the front yard patio then?
Oh, no, 100% knew exactly
you already knew, didn't you? Yeah,
singular position he was standing
100%.
at.
Yeah, you know every map on this in this game, that's for sure. Bailey just being an absolute nuisance. This is going to be very hard to deal with right now. Vinny looking like I actually have no clue what Vinny was going for there, but I'm sure it was a big brain move for this small brain caster. And 50 seconds, have they done enough here?
Well, if they haven't, they need to get a bit of a wriggle on. It seemed like Wildcard still hadn't maybe had full control of Bathroom just yet. Obviously, still trying to get to work on the Solarium wall, which is where the heavy emphasis right now is for Wildcard. Doesn't seem like they've got enough time to rotate over towards the office side of things. So this is very much now full commit onto a Solarium push, which they have got the wall opened up now. But, as I said before, Bailey is going to be the hindrance.
He will be. Oh,
Caster
unless
curse.
Pat does that. Of course, it's the caster curse. Of course, it's you opening your schmoz once more. Nate, though, could he start to do a bit of damage? No, Milo playing consistently well from round 1 into round 2 here. And Specker, eat your heart out, my friend. This is going to be some kind of clutch. 40 seconds. Diffuser is already there.
Yeah, this has been an interesting opening 2 rounds right now. Order's defense hasn't really offered much aggression. They haven't really been offensive at all with it. It's mainly just like a sit back, lose your ones kind of scenario that is playing out. I mean, I don't think Wildcard's done anything too amazing in these first 2 rounds besides, honestly, some really good angles. And they're hitting these shots when they've got these angles. Bailey on the clash was kind of working out okay. Saw him over in Bathroom earlier on in the round, then eventually fell back onto site. They dealt with him, though. So Wildcard's playing this well. Order just needs to offer a little bit more.
So Xenox, I've got to ask you:
Yeah,
are we flexing here? Are we going like hybrid? You know, half color, half play-by-play, the both of us, or what are we?
Well, I think you're not flexing. You're just like full play-by-play with the little quip here and there, and I'm trying something. What that is, we'll find out later on.
I thought you were play-by-play. Hang on, you're not color? What? What's going on here?
No, you're the play-by-play, Manic. You're the host. Come on, you should know this by now. We could just do, honestly, you know what we should do is just full color, both of us. No one would have seen it coming.
Bang, let's do it. We are going to show these, Xenox, we're going to show our worth tonight. I tell you what, I hope Ubisoft EMEA are watching, because this right here, this is the SI performance that they've been looking for.
Jeez.
They need 2 Australians to stand up, and we're about to show them what we're made of, Xenox.
Guz and Dev are sweating right now. They know they're out of a job.
Yeah, they're stressed. They are absolutely stressed. I mean, I think the viewers are more stressed than we are.
Yeah, hide away from that one, man. No, turn away from it.
All right, Xenox. Round 3, and look, here's my color. Here's my analysis.
Yep,
Wildcard absolutely slapping Order in the earlier parts of the round. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no, don't bring it back to us.
Oh, no, I'm not ready. Hang on.
Hang on,
Just gotta
let me make
readjust.
myself look pretty. Hang on.
Hey, you know what? Yesterday we had only one HUD bug. So
Only one?
Yeah, only one.
Well, you know that you've just jinxed it for us and for literally every other viewer here.
Sorry.
What? Jinxing, or what are you sorry for? Are you sorry that we're
for
coming
jinxing.
back to our faces, or?
Both, maybe? Unfortunately. You know what? Let's do some magic. Let's bring it back to us.
Let's do it. Hopefully so. We'll wait and see. Wait and see if our
For those who
faces
might have
come
missed
back.
it, by the way, there was the HUD bug called in the chat. That's why, obviously, this is all happening. We're having some laughs here. We also have Vast back with us too, and I've just taken over
Thank
the host
God.
role again.
Hey, guys.
Look, to be honest, it's just to be expected, Xenox. I mean, like, you know, you've already casted 2 at the end of rounds, and there's only been 2 rounds, so I guess, you know, you just take over everything. But Vast, have you had a good read on this, mate? Like, we're sitting here like a scrambling bunch of idiots, pretending to put some thoughts together. But, you know, what are we seeing so far from Wildcard? Is this impressive at all, or Order playing into them a little?
I think it's pretty impressive. They have some really fast entry from like Geo and Vinny and even Milo, and you know they're just right now they're hitting shots, and I think they're kind of feeling it, which is some pretty good signs. I think Order are kind of feeding a little bit. It seems like a lot of the kills Wildcard are getting early. There's not really trades happening. It seems like the Order players are kind of caught off guard a bit solo, and yeah, there's no real teamwork and whatnot. So I'd like to see Order kind of maybe change the way they're playing, maybe kind of roam in duos, and maybe just try to stall Wildcard a bit longer.
Yeah. Oh god, Bailey just terrifies me, man. Honestly, his shoulders are so damn big as well. Oh yes, the Bailey point of
Was that a hair flick?
That hair. That was a hair flick. That 100% was a hair flick. I love that. But Xenox, let's break it down a little bit here. Are we worried for Order at all? I mean, it is just the first 2 rounds, but things are certainly looking quite comfortable for Wildcard.
Yeah, well, you said it right there, Manik. It's only the first 2 rounds. So yesterday we had a couple of games where within the first even 3-4 rounds, we're sitting back. You know, Avert was up 2-1 against Knights. Obviously, what was another one? I think Rhythm also started pretty well against Bliss. Wildcard was also up 2-1 against the Chiefs. I think they even might have won the first 2 rounds or something. Actually, no, Chiefs won the first one, then Wildcard won 2 in a row. So it's that similar sort of thing, right? Wildcard started well yesterday, couldn't quite, you know, hold on and finish strong. Will that happen again here? As Spec is that a duel or something?
Surely not.
Puffing away, jeez. But yeah, like we've seen this sort of story before. But is the ending going to be the same, or is this time Wildcard going to be capable of actually finishing the job?
I guess that's probably a better question for Vas. You do know as the colour you're meant to answer the questions, not ask more questions there, Xenox.
Oh.
Xenox answers questions by giving more questions.
Well, technically answer it and then ask a new one.
It's the host life. There's no doubt about it. Vast is, I mean, look, we're not so much worried about, you know, I mean, I don't want to say we're not worried about wildcard relegations, but it is going to be something that is talked about, especially as we get toward the end of this stage. I mean, really, we're looking at a team that just has so much potential here.
Yeah, I mean, it's not even potential as well. Like, these are really good players that have proven that they, you know, can be on top of OCN. I mean, look out their, you know, golden years of, you know, Pat, Emo, Geo, even Vinny. You know, these guys were, you know, a part of that wildcard that was really successful.
Yep. It's kind of terrifying when you think about that. Like, you know, Emo has essentially, you know, been on since day dot of the wildcard supreme leader kind of vibe. You know, they really took control of 2020, and unfortunately, it just hasn't gone all that well for them ever since. And look, I guess we can blame it on a multitude of factors, but now it's time for them to show up in the server, and I'm sure that they would agree with that. This is not something that they'd be sitting back by any means kind of disagreeing with. But Xenox, I guess we can probably turn this into a bit of a podcast now, can't we? Because, I mean, I don't know how long these rehosts go for, because, of course, I've only been hosting the past couple of nights. Where do you see Wildcard in the scheme of OCN right now, or in the scheme of OS?
Like bottom 3 OCN?
Yeah. Is that it?
Yeah, well, you asked me. I didn't want to like do what I did before and finish your question and present another question, so I just answered your question.
No, that's.
Did you want me to expand on it a little bit more?
No. Look, no. By no means do I want you to expand on a point that I've asked you, and hope that you'd throw a lifeline out after I just said we're turning into a podcast. But Vast, I guess on the flip side of things here, we had such high hopes for Order after their first Playday in APAC South. Were you able to watch that match?
Yeah, I was. Yeah, I mean, I was kind of the same as everyone else. I thought there were a lot of positives in that game that they weren't really doing last season. And yeah, it generally looked like they worked really hard in the off season. But I think it's too early to say, especially just one game. I don't think we can have that fair statement of the team.
Yep. Well, that's fair enough. I guess they've got plenty of time to prove their own worth. So we are heading back into it. Thank you very much for accompanying us once more, Vast. It's always a pleasure to have you on, giving us your thorough insight, which Xenox and I have about 0 between the two of us. So heading into the third round here, my friend Xenox, much of the same for Order, do we expect?
I would hope not, because if it is much of the same, this will be a pretty quick match then if it is, because they look. Yeah. I think Vast said it right. They need to actually get a little bit more aggressive, start roaming a little bit, and trust themselves, have that buddy system if they really need to, but just do something, because if you're just sitting on site, consistently losing these 1v1s that continue to happen pretty much everywhere. Well, it's 2-0. It'll be 4-0 soon.
Yeah. Now, I'm going to actually ask you this question because it's going to be open-ended, and look, you can jump around it if you want to. But I was mentioning in the second round how when we see a team go back to a site which they've just attempted, it kind of leans into the thought process of they figured out what they've kind of done wrong. Can you, for the life of you, remember back to that second round and pick apart anything?
Not now, because we had a rehost. If we didn't have a rehost, sure, I would have. The main thing
That's
was,
fair.
Honestly, I mean, we had, Bailey on the Clash, and it was okay without being too amazing. More than anything, though, the fact that they've got now Bailey on the Valk, I do believe that they may end up being a little bit more aggressive actually off the site, maybe trying to hold Solarium a little bit better than they were able to in the last round, where they basically gave up Solarium control pretty easily. There was a little bit of bathroom presence, but that was about it. You can see basically where Bailey's sort of positioning himself now. This actually should end up being a little bit better. They can control bathroom a little easier and still get control of piano and put a bit of pressure on Solarium. So knowing if Wildcard sort of do the same thing that they did last time, which is a Solarium push, then they should be better equipped for it this time.
Guess that's the big decision from Wildcard right now. It does look like they are setting up across there. Geo and Pat on the rappel, while the remaining Wildcard members start to poke and prod a little bit further. And speaking of, really quick trade from Nate. I mean, that's what we've needed to see from Order, right? A quick response without really hesitating.
Yeah, I don't think they were they... So Specker was down below roaming, if I'm correct.
Your guess is as good as mine.
Which, I don't mind that, right? Like, that's probably what you want, rather than Specker dying sort of on site. There's only 1 minute 20 seconds left as well, so Wildcard, they did get 1 kill, but as you said, was immediately traded back. But they haven't got any walls open up here as well from Solarium just yet. Still trying to clear Bailey from that shield position to get this bathroom control.
That is absolutely massive from Nico. The double C4. It looked like Wildcard was starting to get their ducks in a row. Very quickly does he shut them up. And now, with only 2 remaining members, it's Emorin and Vinny, both players who are more than capable of getting this done, but they've got to get a move on.
I didn't see, but was that pre-placed? I actually hadn't checked, and when we actually did scan over to Nico, he wasn't really close to the area, so unless he threw it and literally sprinted away, it may have been pre-placed. 30 seconds left, but yeah, from here, Order's got that 2-man advantage, should be able to close this one out comfortably on the defense.
that, you would hope. And look at those long lines all the way from Fireplace. Okay, Vinny, fair enough, I guess. 20 seconds left, 15 seconds left. Time is starting to... Oh my god, could you imagine if Vinny hits that? It would have been on like Donkey Kong, but I couldn't imagine they're going to amount to much now. 5 seconds left. Vinny has to get in there, completely isolated from each other. Emo's coming all the way in from Mezzanine, and Order are quick and swift in their response. 2-1. They finally bite back.
Yeah, and probably answers your question as well, you know, when you sort of repeat a site, fixing your mistakes. Obviously, there was a bit more pressure on Solaria. It made it way more difficult for Wildcard. The double C4 kill from Nico pretty much is it going to attest that, right? Like, they had those C4s there. You could see the bathroom shield as well. So, good adjustments from Order. Obviously, losing Specker early was not ideal, but at least he's roaming around trying to be annoying, try and be a nuisance, and try and do something a little bit different. And Order just adjusted really well. And it goes back to sort of what I was saying in the Ria host that, you know, this is why you don't get ahead of yourself after 2 rounds. Wildcard started well yesterday, and then they fell off. Is it going to happen again here? Great round from Order. If they continue to play like that, I definitely back them in to finish this off.
Jeez, you almost sounded like a colorcaster for a second then. Goodness me. Oh, how far we've come, Xenox. And you know what? I'm not even going to add to that because I couldn't agree more with you. You're an absolute bloody genius. Now, are we in bar at the moment or have we gone down the basement? I think we're back at bar, right?
Yes, we are.
There we go. Just wanted to make sure. So I guess this now leans into that same conversation, which is, you know, do Order have that ability to kind of, you know, look back in time and figure out what kind of went wrong? And I think Vast had mentioned it early on, and so did you, you know, trying to either, you know, stick to those roams and not die immediately, or roam in 2. Make yourself tradable, because that's what really, if you think about it, for Wildcard, it's what gave them the opening. It's what gave them the look in. There was no pressure after they found the opening 2 picks. It was just lucky from Nico that he went absolutely off. Jack Daddy, what are you doing down here? I love it.
Well, this is probably the extent of any sort of roam, I think, on this site. It's going to be pretty Jack Dad around Snow and the stairs position, because that's really going to be a site where you're going to want always 2 players from a stuck top of library and then around Chimney. Then there's sometimes 1 player in library, then 1 sort of around bar stock or bar itself. So there's not too much room to really roam. You maybe have 1 at best. And Jack Dad's going to be the annoying one, I guess, over in Snow.
Wonder if he can find this timing. I do not imagine he will be able to, and surely that's just him falling back. That was very, very close, but perfectly timed from Wildcard to get that open. It just kind of forces him back, and I guess, you know, the first mini-game from Wildcard is successful, and it's within the first minute, so, you know, they haven't lost too much time here as Milo starts to close in. Kind of pints from the backside of Snow.
Yeah, but it's a par for the course, right? Because obviously Jack Dad's already forcing them to commit time and utility to open up that wall, try and get, you know, control down below. Jack Dad's really just being a nuisance here, buying a lot of time. It's more so the fact that Vinny has found a kill on Bailey somewhere. That's not ideal. C4 gets ripped, thrown out, misses completely, but this is really good play from Jack Dad right now, and they're sending over Moloska through blue to try and deal with him.
This is exactly where, I think it was, maybe Nate lost his head last time as well. Milo with the sharp shot. This is looking so damn good from Wildcard. Order's minigame at the start, maybe they were looking to play to waste time, but unfortunately sticking around a little bit too long gets them caught out in the end. And Wildcard are really punishing, I'm not even going to say mistakes, just punishing the playstyle from Order here. And it's looking very good as that minute starts to close in.
Yeah, it's the downsides though, of course, when you try and hold those sort of positions down below, off-site. If you don't win those shots, then your defense on-site is going to be reduced down to 2 or 3 players left, and Wildcard with the 2-man advantage, which is actually pretty similar to what we saw in the earlier couple of rounds, really, besides round 3. So this is actually more of the same from the first 2 rounds, more than anything. But Nate's going for a play here through blue. He's trying to flank him from behind, see if he can find a kill or 2 and even things back up, but there's only 30 seconds left.
What is the timing on that? Geo just comes up the staircase, but it's Nico again, and Specker starts to chime in. Milo, he may well be the linchpin for Wildcard here. You'd have to hope so. Emo Rin holds strong, and my goodness, it looked like Order were back on track. How quickly Wildcard were able to dismiss that. And man, this is, I'm not going to lie, this is looking really good on Wildcard's attack.
It's an interesting thought process here for Bar Games that Order is putting more time defending off-site than on-site, which is fine, but you obviously run the risk that if you lose 1 or 2, then your on-site defense is just basically already not even going to matter. And this I like, going over to kitchen dining. They're going to extend above, obviously, in Master and Office, which is where we tend to see it. And if they can, again, I mean, the fact that Wildcard are just running around with the 1 hard breach as well, this is going to be another similar predicament to Master Office. If Pat goes down early, suddenly things are going to be very difficult. We saw, I think, Chalet yesterday. I can't remember the game off the top of my head, but the defense above was very difficult to break down, and then it forced the push into dining, which was way too one-dimensional, and it just never worked out. Can't remember who, can't remember the game, but that's basically what played out. So it puts emphasis here on order. Probably don't have to do too much roaming. Hold above, hold your angles, win your shots, and then make it very difficult to get this vert control.
So that's the aim of the game from your coach, Xenox. Glad to see you've unleashed the play style there, mate. Nico on the drone hunt, and Milo not moving that drone at all, so he can't hear. A little bit of wasted time, but I guess it's tit for tat. There we go. That's it. It's all worth it. That is all worth it at the end of the day, but it is only 1 drone that's gone from Wildcard. However, they do not have any kind of information in Garage. And I'd love to see if they just send it in to try and take a fight, and that's exactly what Milo and Gio are looking to do.
Yeah, and right now, I kind of just back in whatever Wildcard's doing right now. They're obviously feeling it. This is kind of like the Wildcard we've expected throughout Stage 2 and coming into Stage 3, and they're actually playing and showing it right now. And I think maybe losing to Chiefs yesterday on Bank doesn't really give us a good gauge as to where this team is actually at, because let's be real, it's the Chiefs. It's also a new map. It's a different map. Coming over here, though, I think you can clearly see they've put a lot of time into Chalet in their scrims. I could be wrong there, but I'm going to just hazard the guess that they've been doing it.
Yeah. How was it? Oh, look at that information. Oh, this is absolute Kobe. Oh, love that from Nico. Gets away by the skin of his teeth, but you know, staying alive is more important at this stage. Wildcard now starting to take that top floor control that you said was going to be so crucial for Order.
Yeah, and they're doing well for time here as well. Minute 50 on the clock. They've already got Pat over towards Trophy Stairs, so they can start to get to work on the Solarium Wall eventually. They've also got presence down below. I mean, we saw, obviously, them being able to sort of shuffle Nico around. Wildcard's got a lot of pressure right now on Order. It is still 5v5. They do have to still be careful of the clock. This is where they could get stalled out, and if they do get stalled out, then the top becomes a no-go, and they'll have to just push onto site. Order will still have the vert control, and that means Order should then be able to win the round.
Much information do they have on Milo right now? It looks like he's going to get into position to be able to take an opening fight, but it just depends on what angle he's approached from first. Right now, he's sitting pretty comfortable. Oh my God, that is so damn sharp. That's twice we've seen from him in this match alone. It's technically a 3 versus 5 with a minute left. Wildcard looking to put the pressure on. Is this flank going to pay off though?
Yeah, it's more of the same again from what we saw in the earlier couple of rounds.
Oh,
Wildcard just finding these nutty angles, hitting these shots. Gio gets Specker, and of course Nico's still down, right? So it's technically a 4 versus 2, Rob.
This is an absolute massacre, a bloodbath from Wildcard as Bailey looks to retake. He's been spotted in Trophy. What a shot that was. Milo very quickly puts him to bed, and good night for round number 5. Wildcard looking so damn hot.
Wow. Yeah, I'm a little taken aback right now. It's 4-1. This was a match that was 52-48 split on the HP Omen community vote, and obviously in the predictions it was basically a 50% split. This is not playing out that way. I will say this though, of course, we never can get too excited. It is only the opening half. Maybe this is going to be an attacker-sided Chalet. Order's attack could, I guess, sort of replicate what Wildcard has been able to do, but honestly right now, full credit to Wildcard. This is the best I've seen from them in a long while.
And Xenox, correct me if I'm wrong, but you did say that neither of these teams have shown Chalet, right?
Well, apparently, again, unless Dev's tracker hasn't worked, yeah, no play days at all on Chalet for either of these two teams. They're both banded out. In fact, Order have banded out aggressively since it's come back into the map pool. And honestly, I think they may have to go back to banning it.
I find this really interesting, right? Because if that is the case, and let's just theorycraft and say that Wildcard and Order have not been scrimming, and no one's been leaking scrimming notes on Chalet. Okay, let's just say that as if it's a fact. Wildcard are just looking like they're reading everything the Order are trying to do. Every roam that they're trying to hold. Again, I know that you mentioned it before with the top library stairs hold. You know, it's quite common on that bar defense. But they've just dealt with all of the roams from Order so damn well. It literally looks like Order plays this every week and Wildcard have read them and they just, you know, haven't adapted. But that's not the case. That's what's crazy to me, is both of these teams are playing this for the supposed first time, depending on Dev's match tracker.
First time in the competitive environment. Obviously, scrims, we got no idea.
Yeah, of course. But, you know, like that just shows to me that Wildcard are here to play. And now, for me, Order have to step up to the plate.
Yeah, and honestly, I would be completely flabbergasted if Wildcard haven't put too much time into this, because it looks like they have. It looks, the way they're playing, like they've been scrimming it for a while, and they've got some sort of an idea as to what they sort of want to do here, game plan, if you will. But still one round to go here for the first half, and if they can make it a 5-1 lead, I mean, geez, Wildcard are looking amazing. And this can really launch their stage. I mean, I think you mentioned it in the pre-show, Manic. Someone's got to get going, and the other one's going to stay behind.
Yep. The going gets tough, the tough get going, and maybe it could be a turnaround stage for Wildcard. Maybe this could be that fairy tale story that we talked about with IG. I know for some of you who watch OCN, you might not watch APAC South, but it's kind of been a similar storyline for Invictus Gaming. They have shot back up the standings, up the rankings, and we're really thinking them as the team that they were in 2020. This could be the start for Wildcard. I know it's one game. I know it's a best of one, but you have to take the positives. And right now, that is all Wildcard are showing us. Yeah,
and I got to say as well, having tipped Order, if they lose this game and it continues in this fashion, I don't know if I can tip them for the rest of the stage.
Yikes.
Yeah, it's really disappointing too, because coming into this stage, I really wanted to back Order in and say, that's it. Derpe comes in, they're going to put aside their inconsistencies, but it's same old right now here. But still, minute left, 4-2 half would not be impossible to come back from. 2 players down below in kitchens. That's going to, of course, still provide a bit of vert control for Order from down below. Another EE1D goes out, but so far, it's shaping up again. Wildcard, this is where usually they strike and they find their kills. Geo gets the heads on it.
Oh my God!
It's old Geo that's shown up. 2 quick kills. They establish control down below. This round's over.
Just literally just put it in the books. Xenox, just write it in the books. We're done. We're dusted. They've got so much control right now and only looking for more. Milo's going to be able to deal with any utility on this wall, or so you would bloody well hope so. Just hard to find that Kaid Claw. There it is. The Electric Claw gets taken care of. Although, Xenox, 20 seconds left. This could still be doable.
Could very well be. EE1D is going to be deployed. If Order are to win this round, though, Rob, they need to find a few picks before Wildcard get even more control. Vinny with the nade kill onto Nico makes this virtually impossible. Nate jacked that the last 2.
Oh, Pat turning the corner. That was a decisive fight, sorry, I should say, but it doesn't make a goddamn difference. Wildcard have turned up, and it's 5-1 in the half.
Yeah, by far and away, the best first half we've seen from Wildcard in months. 5-1, they're making Order look completely ordinary, Rob, and we'll see whether or not that can continue now onto their defense.
That's the big question. Are they going to be able to do so? I'll tell you one thing. Wildcard are speed running right now, and if you want the ability to speed run as efficiently and as effectively as they are, do not look any further than Samsung's NVMe SSDs if you want to find out more of their latest range. Type exclamation mark SSD in the Twitch chat. Let's get into this because honestly, I think before we blink, Wildcard are going to take this.
Just quickly, by the way, from one play-by-play host to another, that was an 11 out of 10. Well done, Rob. Well done. That was great. Loved it. Loved the interjection of the speed run. You brought the game into the advertisement as well. It was a perfect pitch. But look, they definitely are speed running this. 5-1 Order on the attack, and we'll see. I think you actually said Order's a team that's usually, defensive orientated? Well, that's why you're not a color caster, because you're completely wrong.
I'm not going to lie, I never said that, but I'll cop it, you know? I'll take that. I think what's what's crazy to me about Order, and I hope we don't see any kills or anything important the first 30 seconds of this. I'm going to very quickly speedrun this. What is crazy for me is how polar opposite Order are acting now that Derpe's in the roster. They are not doing those incredibly crazy plays that we saw from them in stage 1 and 2. They've refined their game style so much, which worked incredibly well in APAC South, but in here, in OCN, they're getting taken to town, Xenox. It is a little bit worrying for me, and I hope that they're able to find that last little bit of spice, that little, salt to flick on to kind of change this OCN season or stage. Because right now, they are looking down the barrel at Wildcard, who is a team that we're kind of iffy about, absolutely demolishing them.
If we're going on little tangents here, I'll quickly go on one as well. But improvement is never linear. It's not always just a straight line up. Of course, Derpe comes in. He may want to shuffle a few things around. That can take a few games. Hey, that could even take a whole stage. If you want to try and change the identity of a team, it's not going to happen overnight. You're going to have some tough losses. You're going to have some growing pains. That could be what we're seeing from Order right now. I still kind of want to give them the benefit of the doubt and say they can turn it around sooner rather than later. But these sort of performances, they got demolished 7-2 by Rufflecopter. Now they're getting demolished 5-1 by Wildcard. It needs to change sooner rather than later.
God, I hate this part of the job. I'll say that, Xenox. I hate it. I don't like being that bloke, but it certainly is time to become that bloke. Order now facing a real, if you think about this, this is a significant loss, but that is an incredible way to start back out. Emo Ring gets taken down. That is, of course, a Frost, but potato, how low are the IQ on these Frost mats? Because that's really what I'm going to be looking at.
Yeah, but what's interesting is they haven't really done anything to dismantle this Wildcard defense yet. I mean, you can see Vinny right here still playing this chimney position on the mezzanine. Top of Library Stairs is still up. Bailey actually just now dealing with that shield, and there's only 40 seconds left. So as this gets down to the final 20 seconds, the old 20-second meta may approach it, and it should still favor Wildcard, even despite being a man down.
Oh man, I'm so grateful we don't see that 20-second meta anymore. It's great when it pops up every now and then, but boy, oh boy, it's nice to have a break from that. It looks like we're going to be revisiting old times. Geo, that's the linchpin. That may well be a huge issue for Order here. It's Jack Daddy down. Nico follows. And my goodness, Wildcard are putting on a goddamn clinic. 5 seconds left. What can Order do here? They're looking to try and bite back, but so quickly are they shut down. It's Bailey left. He'll try to stick the plant. Valiant effort. He's saving the KD. Save that damn KD.
Oh my god. 6-1, Rob! 6-1! No one predicted this scoreline.
No.
Emphasis on the scoreline because there was actually a lot of people who did predict Wildcard, but no one would have predicted it to happen in this fashion. In fact, I think when you look at the predictions as a whole, the 50% sort of quota, a lot of that kind of suggests almost overtime or 7-5, close, back and forth, a tight tussle. No, this is like a high schooler beating on a kindergarten. Like this is...
that mental imagery. Hell no. Hell no.
This is as one-sided as I've ever seen Wildcard produce in OCN.
Oh.
They are bashing them. This is horrible to watch.
Oh god, yeah. It is really quite rough right now, and this tack time out, this has to be a saving grace. You like something needs to come through right now, Xenox, because honestly, this is looking so solid. Like, yes, surface play-by-play cast up doesn't really know what he's talking about, but it is the overarching picture of what is happening right now. It is from the macro to the micro. It is Wildcard through and through. Oh, God.
Well,
what a scoreline.
This is where, is it Order's playing bad? Wildcard's playing really good? Bit of both? It's probably both. Large degrees both, because Wildcard have actually, I think, been playing really well. Right? You can sit back and say, and this is something Guz would probably say, Wildcard haven't really been doing anything too crazy. Order is just playing bad. No, I actually think Wildcard have actually been playing very well. Their positioning, the angles they've been able to find, their time management, I mean, just everything they've been doing has been good, right? And Order, on the other hand, have just been the polar opposite, basically. I mean, their time management there at the end was quite poor. They hadn't even gotten key positions really opened up. They're not able to hit their shots. They just look abhorrent. This is the worst I've seen of Order in a while. And if they want to... If they're sick of hearing the whole inconsistency storyline that's been put on them for stages and stages, well, it's staying. It's not going anywhere. In fact, it could actually go and be even worse, Rob. You can go from being an inconsistent team to being a straight-out bad team. They need to seriously work on it. They've won 3 rounds of Siege since we've started back for Stage 3, and we're heading into Playday 3 next week. That's not good.
No, that's a really concerning sign. And, you know, like, here's the thing. They know this, right? That, like, they will admit this 100%. And right now in this meta, it kind of feels like back to school. You know, it's like we're going back to basics. So many teams are saying how important communication has become, how important just the simple winning your ones has become in this game now. Whereas previous to this, last year, it was a completely different game. The meta was all util dump. It was all, you know, structured approaches. And now it kind of got thrown out the window a little bit. And it just feels like Order, for whatever reason, are not hitting those basics. And it's something that Specker said in his interview in APAC South is, yeah, we're back to basics. We've nailed it. Yeah. Right now, we're just not seeing it. So this OCN is where they have to prove it as well. It can't just be an effort in APAC South.
Well, that's the other thing, right? And this is where maybe I should just pull the foot off the pedal a little bit on the bashing Order train, because their APAC South performance the other day was absolutely amazing. And I think that's why I'm being extra critical on them tonight, because when you show us how good you are, and then you show us yesterday and tonight, well, that's when I get really confused, and I'm like, well, which one am I supposed to believe? Now, obviously, if they're putting all their eggs in the APAC South basket, which, you know, remains to be seen, we'll see how they go next week. If that's the case, then that's obviously the case. But until we actually see that and can determine that right now, this has been very disappointing.
Don't need to add anything to that right now. It looks like Wildcard have kind of conceded from the office control. However, still one. It still looks like 2 roaming. You know, one toward the piano bathroom area, one at the very back of Solarium. I guess you don't really need to be in the office or the bedroom itself to take those fights and to make Order feel uncomfortable. It's a minute left. I mean, it just feels like Order are trying to catch flies right now. They're trying to chase butterflies, and Wildcard are just getting away with it.
What have they actually accomplished right now? Maybe a couple of sight lines into Master Office, but this is a kitchen dining site. You know, there's 40 seconds left. I think at best what maybe happens here, which I haven't even cleared out, Vinny. Does he have info, though, on the player inside a bedroom? That's the real question. In bathroom. Bailey actually just outside, so he's not even inside bathroom. Yeah, this is horrible. This is really bad. I mean, Order... They haven't even got hatches opened up. I just don't understand the play. Nico's only just getting started. There's 20 seconds left, and you're opening the wall now?
Zero comment. If they win their ones, it could completely turn the tide here.
They can.
10 seconds, Xenox. This is where go time initiates. And oh, that's beautiful. That is Nico opening things up, but he can't find his second. Pat's now given an opportunity to Milo. It comes down to the 1v1. Jack Daddy will stick the diffuser, and now he's given an opportunity. That's unreal from him. A crisp shot. Okay. And that will send us to another round.
Look, that was very messy. At the end of the day, they just basically swarmed onto site. Nothing crazy there from Order. They didn't really open up a whole lot. They just ended up rushing onto site. Pat did a really good job at the end, finding a double. That eventually made that 1v1 reality, which Jack Dad hit an amazing shot. But you can see it there. 8 seconds on the clock there. Nico, Bailey both hit their shot. That's the main thing. From that point onwards, Order are playing with, you know, the man advantage. And even then, Wildcard, because there was not that much time and because it was such a hurried approach, were able to kind of bring it back slightly. But credit to Order. They hit their shots. They got onto site. They got a much-needed round win. And we have seen crazier things happen in terms of comebacks. I don't sense it's going to happen. I think Wildcard have just got too many rounds. But Order need to at least make this a respectable scoreline. Honestly, even if they don't get any points from it, Rob, they just have to, for the sake of, you know, momentum they can maybe take into next week.
I would agree. I would very much agree. And, you know, we've seen teams start with a very rocky start. I mean, how many times, Alex, have we seen just this year alone where a team in APAC South or OCN have started out in a rough couple, you know, like the first couple of matches are so rough. Think back to Knights in Stage 1. Their first 2-3 opening games, we were really questioning what on earth was happening. And then out of nowhere, they kind of flipped that tail. They just completely turned on. They ended up coming first, I'm pretty sure, or second, something absolutely absurd in terms of the regular stage. And it could be the same for Order, but it's just, I don't know, it's still that inconsistency label that I hate. I absolutely hate it. It burns my soul because we know how good these guys are. That's the thing. And it's the same thing for Wildcard. I can't sit here and say that about Order and not say that about Wildcard. It's the same damn thing. It just feels like there is this constantly just this one little piece of the puzzle that continues to miss.
Yeah, and I think the difference between these two teams is Wildcard have probably struggled the last few months in being able to highlight their best on a bit more of a regular basis compared to Order. I think Order at times have been able to really show us what they're capable of. Sure, they're not able to do it every night, but I think they've just been able to do it more regularly despite the inconsistency label. That's why you give them that label and not Wildcard per se. Specker easily going to be able to find that kill. Does he know there's another one inside of that blue hallway though? Now he does. Now he has been tagged out. He's going to lose that fight to Jero. Nice trade in the end here. Really well done from Wildcard. That buddy system in play, you can see it right there.
Yeah, well, it's exactly what VAR spoke about for Order's defense, and now we're seeing it shine through from Wildcard. It's the perfect point to make, right? You go in that buddy system, you go in your duos, at the very least you're going to trade, or you're going to... you're not going to win or lose the round necessarily, but you are going to even the odds, and that is just so crucial there. If Specker gets away, it's 4v5, things look a little bit more uncomfortable for Wildcard, so it's good to see them bunker down a little bit more, and Order... now they need to start getting a move on. You don't want to see them getting down to those last couple of seconds and having these final rounds just be so chaotic, because that's just, I mean, let's be honest, that's going to give us a heart attack, let alone the actual boys.
Well, look at this already, though. Nico's a whole minute quicker than the last round, a minute and a half or so, a minute 20 to be exact. He was about 20-second mark of the last round when he started to open up this dining wall. Now he's going to get to work on it a little bit earlier. Still not entirely ideal, but you want to at least create sight lines through dining, even into kitchen. Create those sight lines. If there's drop downs or if there's swarms on the site, that's fine. But then you've got someone who can watch that site the whole way. Imran cautiously placed himself over towards Trophy Stairs still, but Wildcard may have to give up on this solar position. He's just wanting to make sure that Order don't get vert control above the site. He'll eventually then rotate over and help late in the round.
I was wondering what Nico was doing there on the Maverick as he, tried to go for that first line, and it obviously went a little bit too high, so he's gone back down and fixed things up. 30 seconds left. This is looking much more structured from Order and a little bit dangerous, there's no doubt about it. Wildcard now, they're going to have to fall back to site. Oh, you hate to see that from Pat. What can he get done as he sticks back behind the deployable shield here?
Vinny's going to really be a pain in the butt here. He finds one onto Bailey. That's going to give Wildcard the man advantage. 12 seconds left. Pat gets the job done. Rob, I think this is going to be the match.
Oh, this is it. It's all but Nate left in a 1 versus 4. No kit, no clue, no opportunity back into this one. And Wildcard, they get the job done. They've shown us an incredible performance today, and they well and truly deserve that 7-2 victory.
Yeah, they certainly do, and unfortunately for Order, it's yet another 7-2 loss. They lost 7-2 to Rufflecopter yesterday. Now they lose 7-2 to Wildcard. They are stuck on 0 points. Wildcard get all 3. And boy, what that can maybe do for their stage, Rob. It really can launch them ahead. They got a tough one next Playday against Knights, but hey, who knows? Sky's the limit here. Maybe Wildcard are showing that they're back.
Goodness me, could they be? Could they be? A performance like that, if it was any other team, I would probably say Vast, they're back. But the fact that it's Order, the fact that we saw Order yesterday, I mean, we're not going to discredit that victory at all, because Wildcard have absolutely popped off. But is there an element that maybe Order had played into that a little too much?
I think the way Order played and their playstyle really favoured Wildcard. It seemed like what Wildcard wanted to do, it seemed that Order's playstyle really enabled that.
Yeah, and I'm going to stick with you here and shut Xenox up so we can have a second to think about this. But Vas, when we come back to you here, is this something as a player that you're looking at thinking these two teams have scrimmed before and Wildcard have kind of picked out what Order were doing? Like, what how have they been able to do this with no background knowledge from what we can see in terms of competitive matches?
Yeah, from what it looked like, it just seemed like Wildcard were just playing their own game, and a lot of things were just going their way today.
Okay.
They had a lot of really fast entry that kind of gave them a lot of success in the first few rounds.
Yep. It's an interesting one to talk about because, you know, you spoke about the buddy system, right, on that roam.
Yep.
And then we saw Wildcard kind of utilize that. You know, I'm not going to say is that the difference, but can that be the difference in a game for a team on their defense?
It can be a difference. I don't expect roamers to always be in buddy systems, but I think it was definitely a much needed adaptation since Order's solo roams were just not working.
Yep, that's fair enough. Xenox, I mean, we're looking at these stats right now, you know. We don't always necessarily have to talk about them, but it's just so obvious. It's day and night, and I'm not talking about Kid Cudi, I'm talking about the performance between Wildcard and Order.
Yeah, you can see it in the player ratings, really, like 1.9, 1.8, 1.6, 1.5. I mean, that is... And do remember, we had the HUD bug, I think it was after the first 3 rounds or so, which was still predominantly on the side of Wildcard. So it honestly could have even been even better than that. Whereas Order, not a single player at 1.0 or above. It really does tell the entire story. Really, that entire graphic just says it all. 7-2, you can see it in the timelines, you can see it in the player ratings, and honestly, just full credit to Wildcard, the way that they played here on Chalet. I'm definitely going to ask the question as to how much that they've practiced on that map, because it looked like they've put a bit of time into it.
Well, I guess that's it, right? The prep that we have leading into these games, Vast, you know, unfortunately as casters, I mean, you might be different because you are technically like an ex-player and you've only just come onto the desk. Maybe you have a bit of insight, but it is hard for us to know, you know, what kind of experience a team has in terms of scrims or even scrimming each other. But one thing that I think was kind of blaringly obvious was the starter rounds for Wildcard were just phenomenal.
Yeah, I didn't really expect them to play Chalet the way they did. It was actually really good. It was kind of textbook Chalet. But yeah, they're really fast entries. To me, it seems like they have really good pre-placed drones set up because they're enabling, you know, Milo, Geo to get in the map really quickly and get into these like powerful positions where they're both able to like make plays and get picks.
You know what? We might be able to find out whether they do have good drone placement because we got Vinny up. Let's bring him on in. Vinny, congratulations on the victory, mate. That is an incredible sign from you and the boys. I mean, you know, from the outside, it looked like an incredible performance, but from the inside, how did that feel?
Well, g'day, guys. It's been a while, but it felt really good. It's good to get a win on the board and, you know, kind of show the hard work that we have been putting in over the off-season. It's just kind of hasn't really come together to begin with, but we're hoping that this is kind of that turning point.
Vinny, firstly, congratulations on the win. It was probably the best game I've seen you guys play, maybe the entire year, to be completely honest. I do have to ask, and without maybe going too in-depth, but it definitely looked like you guys had been playing a bit of Chalet maybe in scrims?
I mean, we're in today's today's meta, and you know, at this high level of comp, you need to be able to play every map. Not necessarily very well, but you need to be able to play every map, and we definitely put a bit of work into Chalet because we knew that a lot of APAC teams either stray away from it or are very good at it. So we knew that we had to be fairly strong on it, and yeah, we've been putting a lot of work into the off season, and we had a feeling that Order probably weren't as well equipped as we were to play that map. I think it kind of looks like Consulate in the way that it plays out, which is something that really favors our kind of playstyle, and I think that showed tonight.
Yeah, I guess want to touch on a bit. Was there anything in particular you felt you guys did better tonight compared to last night? Obviously, it is only one day, but maybe a shift in your mindset or maybe confidence?
I think, yeah, like the confidence thing definitely came from what we kind of spoke about over the last few days. We definitely had to reflect on what really went wrong, and we saw that it wasn't even so much our strategy or like our gunfights or anything like that. It was just the way that we played together. I think tonight we definitely made a conscious effort to make sure that people were, you know, refragging off each other and making sure that, you know, every kill or every death went accounted for and could be refragged. And you know, that's kind of the way the game goes. If you're killing them and they're not killing you back, then you'll be pretty good.
Oh.
Now, Vinny, it's pretty simple, right? It's a simple game. Look, we haven't had you on for a little bit, so I do want to get a general consensus as to how, the morale in the team is going, because, from the outside, we're always trying to gas you up and gas the boys up, but it has looked a little bit dire in Stage 2. This might kickstart things, so how are things feeling?
I mean, coming into this stage, APAC South and OCN, we were very confident in the way that we'd kind of prepped over our off-season. We put a lot of work into maps that we kind of struggled with, and we knew that, obviously we had a fairly hard beginning to both comps with Chiefs and Knights and stuff like that. But we knew that it may not have started as well as it has, and that it only takes one win to kind of kickstart the season. And I'm glad that we got it very early on against a team like Order, who are kind of our bogey team sometimes, and definitely have shown some good performances against us. So it was really good to get that win on the board.
Yeah. Any final questions from Xenox or Vast here?
No,
From me.
Just best of luck for the rest of the stage, mate, because we definitely like to see you guys performing like that. Keep it up.
Thank you, Xenox.
You know what? We'll wrap it up on that. But any final words before we let you go? Thanks, Xenox, for being the host as per usual, mate. You've absolutely lost the plot tonight. You can't be anything but a host, can you? You're just a straight line up and down. There's no curves.
It's better than Guz, let's be real.
Let's not talk about Guz. Let's not bring Guz into this. But Vinny, any final words before we let you go, mate?
Just as always, thank you to the fans for continuing to support us, and we hope that this is the first win of many this season.
Beautiful. All right, mate. We will see you hopefully next week.
Thank you, guys.
Xenox, you don't want to take over the hosting role, mate?
Do your job, mate. Come on.
Oh, goodness me. No, it's all fun and games, but it does Vast look like Wildcard might be on the up and up. It's certainly showing some good spirit at the very least.
Yeah, I mean, it's even like Stage 2. They had a few performances like that. I think what's really important is that they use this momentum. They look at, okay, what was working for us today, and they really try to build off that. And from what Vinny said, it seems like they did make quite a bit of an effort in the off-season to really make sure that they're prepared. And he is right, like they did have Chiefs and Knights as their first two games. So,
yeah,
that is a tough start, but it is early in the season, and I hope that we see a lot of consistent performances from them. If they keep playing the way they played today, I'm sure we'll definitely see a lot more performances.
Let's hope so, because they're in dire need of some points for the overall season standings. We will find out whether they do a little bit better in later days, but of course it is coming up. Of course, none other than the match of the stage. It's Chiefs and Knights. We'll be back after this.
Oh, yeah. Dev actually do analysis when half the time they're filling in this. This should...
Seconds remaining. Attacker's bomb diffuser has been dropped. 10 seconds.